Hello again. This is Microtrain World, looking at all things Z scale. It's 1 in 220, and this series 4, I think it is new. I recently sold the layout. Before that, I collected some of the photographs of it. So where I have layouts, I will try also to put a video on here. So this is really just a video about a series of pictures looking at a model called Schom. So this was built in 2009, appeared at Zedex 2009 and 2010. It's 170 centimeters long, 70 centimeters wide, and with the castle in place, it's 38 centimeters tall. It was designed to be an exhibition layout, fit into the standard estate car, and also to be viewed sort of directly into it rather than down on top of it. It's basically a single loop. There is a storage siding at the back, so trains that come around the loop and into the rear tunnel can be parked, and then you can release another train to complete the journey. So if an exhibition people are watching the train go around, they may not see the same train go into the tunnel as the one that appears at the other side. There are two stations, one just beneath the castle and the other just off the main line. There's a goods yard. There are two lighting circuits, one for white LEDs that make up the street lamps, and also for a circuit for the warmer white LEDs which belong inside the buildings. At the far end, you'll see in this picture in the distance, there are two tails which allow you to connect another board to this. One of the tails is underneath the tunnel, so again, trains entering underneath the castle don't always come round back on themselves past the station. They can disappear onto another board, and you can also lead trains off, obviously, from that. It is just movable with one person. And unfortunately, I had to recently sell this to make space due to downsizing. So this is Schom. So this is just a series of the photographs taken before going to sell. So this is an aerial picture, left-hand side of the model looking from the operator view towards the people viewing on the exhibition. So you can see the castle grounds, the top loop, and then beneath it, the lower loop. And the goods yard, both of the stations. You can also probably pick out a couple of points is that you'll see there are catenary bases left on the layout. Originally the layout had catenary on it. It did look very cool, worked nicely. Unfortunately for administration purposes, derailments, cleaning the track and so on, catenary proved to be a little bit of a pain. It was also quite fragile in terms of when it was being moved. So in the end, I removed it from the layout. And probably another point while we're here, you'll see in the goods yards, there are uncouplers. There are 3 uncouplers and one at the station. Originally, I thought, yes, you could probably do some shunting work. That would look good at exhibition. But the uncouplers themselves work, but the uncoupling process at this scale is a little random. So sometimes it works nicely, sometimes it doesn't. So actually, they still work. They remain part of the layout, but at exhibitions, I did not do uncoupling. I was far more interested with the longer trains going around the whole track. Worked very nicely, but the uncoupling doesn't. So I haven't built it into any other models. So another overhead view. You can see here closest to the bottom of the picture is a small halt. They're all isolated, so trains can be parked in there. And that's one of the stations with the road leading off into the tunnel in the background. You can see the roof of the restaurant. There's an industrial unit plus the switching tower and the station and the road dropping off down underneath the rail track from here. And then on the right-hand side of the layout, there's the church. You can see from here it's floodlit on the outside, but also has warm lights on the inside, and the two tracks going off, the road leading off the layout there. So again, taking another look, different angle, more from the viewer's angle rather than the operator's angle. So the castle down the hill. Most of the layout actually it's like a papier-mâché mix, polystyrene blocks, and then over the top of that, first of all, it was mashed up newspaper with no glue, which set rock hard. And then last year, I did a lot of renovation work based on using toilet paper mixed with a weak mix of glue and water. And that produces a very, very good effect, very fast effect in terms of rocks. And you can see that work underneath the castle down to that top layer track. Some of the trains that ran in the history, this is probably during construction. You can see behind the locomotive there, the effect of newspaper drying, leaving big gaps. These all had to be filled. This really was an experimental layout. See how you could build the scenery. It dries very light, but thought I'd put some locomotives on to see that. That's center stage. Locomotive running up the hill around the base of where the castle would go. Another one there. Castle itself in its finished position. It's on a base which lifts out because underneath there is track which disappears off to one of the tails, or can bring you back round onto the layout. So there's some more pictures here of the castle. I think we've done before some repair works. You'll probably see a parasol that had got damaged in the wind and got caught. That has been replaced. This is the rose garden of the castle, just to give a few more interesting features, both to the operator, of course, because they're working it all day, but also to anybody visiting. This is the cafe. Every castle should have one, and you can also see the fittings for the flood lamps, LED floodlights around the base. The effect of the LED floodlights in the mixed lighting circuits is here in these sort of evening shots. There's another couple of videos on building that castle. Also interesting that I use signals here. So there's 2 yard signals, a buffer stop, all illuminated and working. Some photographs here of trains moving around. Well, not moving, but on the layout. Still photographs. Industrial area now, moving towards the car park for the station. Another one there with the train passing. All the rails were painted rust. There is the stop go signal. Very useful for sort of creating interest or moving trains onto this part of the layout while holding one here, because obviously there isn't a lot of storage, siding storage behind the layout, just the one extra one on the loop. And you can also see there in the background the upper station. So a small local train in the Osterbuchen station at the top, parked, waiting for passengers. Restaurant tucked in behind on the way up to the church. One shot of the climb towards the church. Similar, a lot of locomotives put on here, and I was playing with seeing how many of my banana wagons would fit into one train climbing the hill. Some more shots of locomotives on that hill. The restaurant itself looks like there'd been a bit of a party last night. Tables tipped over. Yes, again illuminated. Always quite sort of interested in useful features. So this would be almost the level at which you'd start looking at the model. So I felt, yes, it'd be quite cool to have a sort of driveway going through, and a lot of the decoration I used was actually printed card from other scales, scaled down and then glued in place. So I actually managed to get some graffiti on the concrete buttresses of that bridge. There's the church itself. The road goes around the back and climbs up onto the flat plateau. Obviously, I didn't want anything too high because it had to be transported. Images of the church. There's a couple reading the notice board. Around the back of the church, you see the track climbing off up the hill outside the church. Not sure how that car. I think the car might have just managed to get there by accident, but I think for the purpose of this, I'll call it the gardener's car. Parked up for work, and that's it. Really, that's Schom. Built 2009, exhibited twice, and it's now 2023 when I'm doing this video, and it's still working very nicely and has gone to a new home. So I hope it will get a new lease of life. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching to the end of this, if you have, and I shall be back with another video soon. Cheers.